Beneath the snow, a seed of hope. The Alaskan sky was collapsing in curtains of white. Snowflakes fell thick and fast, erasing the horizon, the trees, and even the road beneath 17-year-old Isabel Carter's frozen feet. She stood alone at a desolate bus stop outside Anchorage, clutching her 2-month-old daughter, Rosie, in her arms. Her thin jacket barely held warmth, wrapped tightly around both of them, and her breath came out in sharp clouds of panic and despair. She'd been there for over an hour. The last bus of the night hadn't come. Baby girl, I know you're cold," Isabel whispered, her voice raw and breaking as tears froze mid-track on her cheeks. "I'm trying. I'm really trying." 3 hours earlier, she had been standing on her parents' porch, watching as her father hurled her duffel bag into the snow. "No daughter of mine will drag this family into shame," he had shouted, his face red, voice shaking with rage. Her mother stood behind him, silent and crying, but she didn't stop him. Didn't stop anything. Isabel had kept the pregnancy secret for months. Their family was prominent in a tightly wound conservative church community where reputation trumped reality. When the truth finally came out, her parents offered an ultimatum: give up the baby or leave. She chose Rosie, and now she stood in the bitter cold, with nowhere to go, shoes soaked through, heart heavier than the snow pressing in around her. Her best friend, Tasha, couldn't take her in. Her parents would never allow it. Rosie's father, a college freshman named Landon, had ghosted her the moment she told him she was pregnant. Isabel had sent messages, called, begged. Nothing. As she began to walk, the snow swallowed her footsteps. Each crunch into the ice felt like a prayer for mercy from a world that had shown her none. Suddenly, headlights emerged from the storm, a battered blue pickup crawling down the snow-covered road. It stopped beside her, engine rumbling like an old animal. The window rolled down. A woman, easily in her 70s, leaned over the wheel. Her silver hair stuck out beneath a knit cap, and her hands wore mismatched gloves. "You two look like a proper mess," the woman said with a voice as rough as gravel and thick with Alaskan grit. "Where you headed?" "Isabel Klastro usitaiter." The truck looked ancient, and the back was piled with strange objects covered by a tarp. The woman wasn't exactly reassuring. "I don't bite," she added. "But this storm? It will." A weak cry from Rosie cut through the wind. Isabel hesitated. The woman leaned out slightly. "Name's Edith Monroe. This baby won't make it another hour out here, sugar." Isabel took a shaky step forward. The truck door opened, releasing a blast of warm air and a strange aroma: pine, tobacco, and something earthy. Inside, the dashboard was littered with small carved animals, crystals dangling from the rear view, and what appeared to be a taxidermy owl balanced on a cardboard box. It was bizarre, but it was warm. "Get in before we both freeze solid," Edith barked, and Isabel obeyed. Once inside, she gave a quiet "thank you." "Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen where I live." They drove through winding paths, the forest closing in on either side. Edith said little, muttering to herself or to the truck. Finally, a small A-frame cabin appeared, windows glowing warmly through the snow. Edith trudged through waist-high snow to the porch, cutting a path for Isabel, who followed, barely able to feel her toes. Inside, the cabin was a world unto itself, filled with books, plants, bones, drawings, dried herbs, scientific equipment, and tiny bottles with handwritten labels. The space was strange but alive. Organized chaos. "Sit," Edith ordered, pointing to a worn armchair by the wood stove. Isabel unwrapped Rosie, whose cheeks were bright red from the cold. Without asking, Edith brought over a warm bottle. "Been a while, but some things you don't forget," she said. As Isabel fed Rosie, her own body thawed from exhaustion. Edith returned minutes later, carrying a wooden drawer lined with blankets. "Crib," she explained. "Babies sleep better with solid sides." You know a lot about kids," Isabel whispered. Edith's eyes flicked with something unreadable. "I've known many beginnings, and a few endings. They survived the night. And the next. The storm wouldn't let up. "You're not just staying for the weather," Edith muttered one morning. "Everyone works here. This ain't a hotel." Despite her brash tone, Edith became a teacher, showing Isabel how to start fires, identify different woods, and dry herbs for teas and medicine. Isabel learned the names of Arctic foxes, how to track snowfall, and how to identify edible plants from hand-drawn guides. "You're a scientist?" Isabel asked one evening. "Was," Edith said, "professor of Arctic biology. 20 years. Then I left. Too many politics, not enough truth." Each day, Isabel discovered more layers to the woman who had saved her. The cabin, it turned out, was a living research lab, filled with decades of notes, sketches, and data. "You should publish all this," Isabel said one evening, flipping through a journal. "Used to. Then I didn't." Edith looked away. "Some things you bury, and some things you grow over." One night, the generator failed. They all slept near the stove, wrapped in quilts. Isabel searched the cabin for more blankets and stumbled across a leather-bound book with a false bottom. Inside, a small brass key with a blue ribbon. Isabel knew what it was for. A blue-painted door in the cabin bore a hand-lettered sign, "Clementine's room, keep out." She shouldn't have gone, but she did. The room was a nursery, untouched, frozen in time. A mural of forest animals covered the walls. A rocking chair sat by the window. Photographs of a younger Edith, glowing and full of love, holding a baby girl. "You had a daughter," Isabel whispered. "Yes." Edith stood in the doorway, voice like broken glass. "Clementine Grace Monroe. Died here. Fever. Storm. I tried." She trailed off, eyes clouded with a sorrow that had never faded. "You didn't fail her," Isabel said. "I was proud. Wanted to prove I didn't need anyone." Edith gripped the crib's edge. "But nobody should have to do this alone." The days warmed. Rosie grew stronger. Edith softened. The nursery door remained open now. Isabel asked about Clementine often, and Edith finally told her stories about pinecone collections and tiny boots in the snow. Spring arrived. Isabel got a letter of acceptance to the University of Alaska with a scholarship for single mothers. "I don't have housing," Isabel admitted, "or childcare. I own a house in Fairbanks," Edith said offhandedly. "You can live there. I might even join during winters. Too old to shovel snow every damn day." In the end, they moved together, 3 generations in one unlikely family. Edith began mentoring university students again. Isabel studied environmental science. Rosie, curious and bright, started learning her colors through berries, her numbers through bones. When people asked, they explained the truth. No, they weren't mother and daughter. Not by blood. They were something else. They were survivors. They were found. They were home.